What if the silence at Heartland Ranch isn't peaceful at all, but screaming with secrets nobody is ready to face yet? Why does the land feel heavier? Like it remembers footsteps that were never supposed to return. Is it just another quiet morning, or the calm before a truth that will turn Amy's world upside down? Why does Amy move through her day like she's holding her breath, as if her heart already knows something her mind refuses to accept? Isn't it strange how grief never really leaves? It just learns how to sit quietly in the corner until something wakes it up again. Why does every empty space at Heartland suddenly feel too loud, too familiar, too loaded with memories she buried on purpose? And why does the driveway matter again when Amy spent years convincing herself not to look down it anymore? Isn't that the cruelest trick of hope? How it sneaks back in when you're finally strong enough to live without it? Why does the air feel tight, like the ranch itself is waiting for someone who was declared gone? Ty Borden was supposed to be a closed chapter, right? A story finished with tears, loss, and acceptance, wasn't it? So why does his name suddenly feel dangerous again? Like saying it out loud could break everything Amy rebuilt piece by piece? Is this really about love returning or about pain refusing to stay buried? Did Amy ever truly heal, or did she just learn how to survive without asking questions she was too afraid to answer? And if Ty is alive, then what does that make all those years of grief, strength, and lonely nights Amy endured? Why does Heartland Season 20, Episode 1 move so slowly, almost like it wants us to feel every second of waiting? Isn't it suspicious how nothing dramatic happens, yet everything feels like it's about to explode? Why do routine moments suddenly feel loaded, like each small glance and pause is pointing toward a truth nobody wants to say first? Jack watches quietly, doesn't he? Doesn't he always know when unfinished stories are circling back? And when Lindy asks innocent questions, does Amy's heart break a little more, knowing answers might finally exist? Is this episode reminding us that time doesn't erase love? It just hides it under responsibility and routine? And if Ty is still alive somewhere out there, then who is Amy now? The woman who loved him, or the woman who learned how to live without him? Because if the past really is knocking on Heartland's door again, is Amy ready to open it, or will seeing Ty alive shatter the life she fought so hard to rebuild? What if the truth doesn't arrive with noise, but with a feeling so heavy it makes your chest ache before your mind can explain why? Why does Amy suddenly feel like the ground beneath her isn't as steady as it was just moments ago? Isn't it terrifying how the body reacts before the heart even gets permission to hope? Why does the camera linger on open land, as if Heartland itself is scanning the horizon for someone it never forgot? Could this place ever truly let Ty Borden go? Or was it always waiting for the moment his name would matter again? And why does every path suddenly feel like it could lead back to him? Amy keeps busy, doesn't she? Isn't that what people do when they're afraid to think too deeply? Why does her focus feel forced? Like she's running from a thought that's getting louder with every step. And then there's that pause. Why does time slow down just enough to make her stop, even though nothing has technically happened yet? Is it instinct, memory, or fear knocking first? Jack notices, of course he does. Doesn't Jack always sense when life is about to test the family again? Why doesn't he say anything, as if words would only make the truth arrive faster? Isn't it strange how hope can feel like betrayal after you've accepted loss? If Ty really is alive, then what was all that pain for? What was Amy surviving all those years, if not a reality that might suddenly change? And Lindy, why does her laughter feel different today? Lighter and heavier at the same time. Does she feel it too? That invisible pull toward a man she only knows through stories and photographs? Why does Heartland Season 20 refuse to rush this moment, as if it knows we're not ready for what's coming? Is the show protecting us or preparing us for impact? And why does anticipation hurt almost as much as grief once did? Because somewhere between routine and memory, something shifts. Is it coincidence? Or is fate finally stepping back into Amy's life without asking permission? And when Amy finally looks up, when her eyes land on the impossible, is she seeing a ghost of the past? Or is Ty Borden really standing there, alive, breathing, and about to shatter everything she believed was finally over? What happens when the impossible stops being a thought and starts standing right in front of you? How do you breathe when the man you buried in your heart is suddenly alive in your reality? And why does Amy freeze? Like moving even one step might make him disappear again. Isn't it cruel how the moment you prepare for your whole life without someone, life brings them back without warning? Why doesn't Amy run, cry, or scream, but instead stands there trapped between shock and survival? Is this reunion, or is this emotional whiplash disguised as hope? Ty doesn't rush toward her, does he? Doesn't that hesitation say more than words ever could? Why does he look like a man who knows he doesn't deserve forgiveness just because he showed up alive? In Amy's eyes, why do they hold love, fear, anger, and relief all at once? Isn't that the look of someone whose heart never stopped loving, even when her life had no choice but to move on? How do you speak to someone who broke your world without meaning to? What do you say to a man who missed years of your life, your pain, your strength, your daughter's childhood? And how do you stop your heart from remembering what your mind is begging you to forget? Because Ty doesn't just see Amy anymore. Doesn't he see the woman who survived him? The woman who became stronger because she had no other option? And when Lindy steps closer, why does the room feel like it's holding its breath? How does a child recognize someone she's never truly known? Is it instinct, blood, or something deeper that makes her trust him without fear? And when Ty looks at his daughter, doesn't the weight of everything he missed crash down all at once? No apology can return lost years, right? No explanation can undo absence, correct? So why does this moment feel like both the beginning of healing and the reopening of every wound? Because this isn't a happy reunion. Isn't it a reckoning? And as Amy watches Ty and Lindy share that fragile, innocent connection, is she witnessing the future she once dreamed of? Or realizing that loving Ty again might cost her everything she worked so hard to rebuild? What happens after the shock fades and reality finally dares to step in? Who decides what comes next when a family is forced to relive a past they barely survived? And why does silence around the dinner table suddenly feel louder than any argument ever could? Jack watches Ty closely, doesn't he? Isn't that look on his face not anger, but experience speaking without words? How do you welcome someone back without erasing the damage their absence caused? Does Jack understand better than anyone that coming home doesn't automatically mean everything is forgiven? And when he finally speaks, isn't his message clear without being cruel? That love is not enough? Presence is? Tim cracks jokes. Of course he does. Isn't sarcasm his favorite way to hide emotions he never learned how to say out loud? But when no one is watching, doesn't his silence reveal just how much this moment actually matters to him? Lou stays guarded, doesn't she? How could she not, after watching Amy rebuild herself from pieces? Is her hesitation cruelty or the pure instinct of a sister who refuses to watch her family break again? And Georgie, isn't her calm the clearest sign of growth? Doesn't she understand that people are more than their worst moments without pretending those moments didn't hurt? Then there's Amy and Ty, sitting in the same space but worlds apart. Why do their glances say more than any apology ever could? Isn't it obvious that love is still there, but no longer innocent, no longer simple? When they finally speak alone, isn't the truth heavier than silence ever was? How do you apologize for years you can never return? And how does Amy admit she's afraid not of losing Ty again, but of loving him again? This isn't about fixing the past, is it? Isn't it about deciding whether the future is even allowed to exist? And when the family gathers, smiling carefully, hoping quietly, pretending they know what comes next, is Heartland really getting a second chance at happiness? Or is this just the beginning of a heartbreak even deeper than the first one?